session to LimmudX, which I think all of you know a little about, and I want to say a few words before I introduce the speakers to you. We're here in this theatre because LimmudX first accepted and then rejected the panel of speakers you're going to hear today. They are all contributors to a new book that some of you may have seen. I had not seen until news of all this came to me. The book's called Beyond Tribal Loyalties, Personal Stories of Jewish Peace Activists, and it contains the personal stories of a few dozen Jews spread across the world: Australia, America, United States, Canada, Britain, and Israel. This is a book which is likely, one would have thought, to be of considerable interest to the Jewish community because of its subject matter and because all the contributors to it are Jewish. Despite a number of attempts, I understand, no explanation for the decision not to conduct, not to allow this panel to be held as part of LimmudX, has been able to be extracted from the organising committee. Yet I was interested when I went onto LimmudX's website to notice that it's advertising a panel discussion about, and I quote, diversity, pluralism, inclusion and exclusion in the Australian Jewish community, and it's calling this particular panel Australian Jewry, How Big is the Tent? Seems not big enough. I want to explain why I'm here. I'm not a contributor to the book. I've only read parts of it. But I grew up in Melbourne at a time when the word peace was printed in inverted commas in newspapers. And peace organisations that were opposing nuclear rearmament were prevented from hiring local halls in order to hold meetings. And I can remember, which makes me really old, I can remember when films and books were banned in this country. In fact, I can remember that my first copy of D.H. Lawrence's novel Lady Chatterley's Lover had to be covered in brown paper. And I'm a writer, and some of my books have been censored in schools, even though they consist entirely of children's own oral literature. And I've read history, and I know the smell and the taste and the danger and the significance of censorship, which is why I agreed to chair this presentation today. And I'm in agreement with two writers, two great writers, whom I admire, and I'm sure many of you do too. John Milton had a great line in his essay against censorship, the Areopagitica. He said, "Give me the liberty to know, to utter, and to argue freely according to conscience, above all liberties." And on the bust of Mark Twain at New York University is the line, "Loyalty to petrified opinion never yet broke a chain or freed a human soul." Well, they are my mentors. They are the principles on which I live my life, and that is why I'm here. None of us, including me, have to agree with any or indeed all of the material in this book. But the authors have a right to express their views, and we have a responsibility to listen and to consider them. That's what makes, in my view, a civilised society. Now, the procedure today is very simple. We have 5 speakers who I will name, and each is a contributor to this book, and each will speak uninterrupted for no more than 7 minutes, and I'll wave a piece of paper at them at the 6-minute time to make sure that they stick to it. After that, we are open to questions. Now, there are only two rules about questions. They have to be directed at someone or someones. You can direct them at the whole panel or a particular speaker. And they have to be concise. The asking of a question is not the same as the making of a statement. And that's a distinction of some significance today. If we run out of questions, it is then open, because we have an hour and a half here. You may not want to stay all that time, but that's the time we've allocated. So if we run out of questions, then it is open for people to make comments and discussion, and to involve, we will always involve the speakers here as well. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Good. Well, then let me introduce you to the speakers. And they're speaking in alphabetical order, which I decided was the simplest and also the fairest way, although by great good fortune, the person who would anyway have gone first, Abigail Abarbanel, who is sitting here, it also happens to come first alphabetically, but she is the editor of this collection, and so I would normally have asked her to speak first, and she is indeed our first speaker. So, Abigail, over to you.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming, taking your time from whatever else you were going to do on Sunday afternoon and spending time with us.
You need to speak up a little loud.
No microphone?
Yes, look, I'll turn it on. Yeah, if someone agrees to film, I'll turn on the microphone.
I usually don't like to stand behind.
Yeah, if someone just holds the camera, I'll turn on the mic. If someone just wants
hold
to...
the camera.
And just film them talking, I'll do the
But
mic.
where is the mic?
I'll do it.
Is that, can you hear me?
Okay, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You can go on the left and on the lectern.
Never mind, it's okay. I can speak like this. It's all right.
Loud.
Okay. Thank you for coming. And yes, I'm the editor of this book. I'm a bit of a strange creature because I'm actually a psychotherapist in private practice. So the way when I come to look at politics or almost anything in life, I look at it from a psychological perspective. And that's what I can actually contribute in. I think I'm good at telling my own particular story, and I'm probably good at talking about my understanding of psychology, psychotherapy, and how the whole thing kind of relates to my understanding of the conflict in Israel and Palestine. I was born in Israel in 1964, which makes me almost 48 now. I was born in Tel Aviv. I grew up in Bat Yam, which is a pretty ugly town just south of Yafo. I started my 2 years of my bachelor degree in Bar-Ilan University in a combined social science program. It was very eye-opening for me. And after 2 years there, my ex-husband and I moved to Australia in 1991, where I lived for 18 years. And in 2010, my present husband, my last one too, that's my intention, we moved to Scotland in the Highlands, and we live about 20 minutes east of Inverness, which is a beautiful place to live. And I'm actually quite humbled that I was invited to do this book tour at the invitation of Just Peace, and the instigator, Nicole Elliott here, but a whole lot of groups are involved in this book tour, a huge number, too big to actually mention every single one of them, but we got donations and sponsorship from a lot of groups, and I am supposed to mention at least one, and that's the Israeli Committee Against House Demolition, which has been a nice contributor, and some of you might know them. Jeff Halper is the name that's associated with this group, and he's also one of the contributors to the book. He has a very interesting story to tell. This organization, apparently they're starting to think about having a chapter in Australia, and so it's the people who are thinking about that were supporting my and sponsoring my coming here to talk about the book. The focus of the book is my particular interest was in trying to find out what it takes psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually for a human being from a Jewish background, perhaps a Zionist background, to come out of perhaps a particular mindset that we were brought up on, our understanding of history as it was given to us. And in light of new information, in light of the way that new history is being written now, be confronted with facts that are different to what we were taught originally, and I was interested in what kind of process happens in a person to move from that to becoming an activist for Palestinian rights. And when I say that, the book includes a wide range of people, so we don't all agree on what we think the solution is or exactly how we see everything, but the idea of coming from a very tribal understanding of being Jewish, and which goes together with automatic support for Israel and everything it does, coming from that to showing sympathy to the Palestinian people and starting to question, whatever degree of questioning, but starting to question, it's quite a formidable process. And I've experienced it myself in the flesh for many years. And I was interested in what was going on for other people. Originally, the idea for the book came from a friend of mine, Kenneth Ring, who some of you might know, who's written Letters from Palestine. He's a very nice man. And he started to pester me to write a book about my own story, but I was a bit uncomfortable just having a whole book about myself. I actually didn't think my story was that big or that important. And I also became aware that when I first became an activist back in 2001, I felt like I was a bit alone in that. I was a bit of a performing monkey. I was invited to all kinds of things. The token converted, Jewish/Israeli person who is enlightened now. But over the years, of course, a whole lot more Jews started to question, and there's amazing people around. Some of them are right here, but there's a lot more around the world, and it's in fact a growing minority. And there's a big sense in a lot of Jewish communities around the world that younger generations are actually questioning a lot more than previously. The book represents 25 stories. One of them is mine, and they come from 5 countries. And as I said, there's a diversity of views, and I wasn't interested in whether people agreed with my particular view. If there is a continuum here of views, I'm probably over there outside the room, because I'm supporting the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign against Israel in order to force Israel to end the occupation. And of course that is now the biggest taboo possible. Before you could be, the degrees of tolerance, I suppose, about this sort of thing. And so I think up to a certain point it can be tolerated, but if you support the BDS, that's basically it now. That's probably going to change as well, but so far that's the case. And I believe, we don't know for a fact because we've never been given an official response, but I believe that it's because of that we were rejected from the official LimmudX conferences, the support for the BDS that some of us support. I don't even know if all of us do. I certainly do, but I did not want to create a book of clones. I had no interest in having a book of people who all agreed exactly with my view, because that would be completely boring. I was really more interested not in where people are at right now and what they think the solution might be, 2 states, 1 state, whether they support the BDS, don't support the BDS. It wasn't an issue for me. What I was interested in is what went on for them emotionally. What does it take? And it takes a great deal. And for those of you who might read the book, you'll get that impression that it's quite a big deal for people. And I come from a position where I really empathize with that. I think that when people get angry with Jewish people for not supporting the Palestinians or for not seeing what's happening, I think what they don't understand sometimes is how difficult that really is. That the loyalty to the state of Israel, the identity of being Jewish, it's all so interconnected, it's so enmeshed together that when you're confronted with facts that are different from what you thought was right, or how you see reality, the terrible process that causes in you is just hard to describe. It's like everything about your identity is being challenged. That's how I felt. And so I have an enormous amount of time and sympathy for people who are in that position. I've just had the white flag. So I don't know what else to say. I guess I've given you a little bit of a picture of that. You're very welcome to ask any questions you like when you're ready. And I think that I'll just finish and let somebody else speak now. So thank you for your attention.